You're listening to the StudioPTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. And welcome to the StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and we're back at it again with another guest. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a StudioPTBO podcast, and I am super fired up for our guest today, the real Brad Lee, founder and CEO of LightSpeed VT, working with clients like Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Damon John, teacher of Closer School Live, which we are, our business developers are a part of. They go through that training. We are super stoked about that. Brad, man, what else to say about you? Speaker, CEO, host of Dropping Bombs. I listen to the podcast quite frequently, and I'm just super excited to chat today kind of about your backstory, advice you have for entrepreneurs, marketing, branding. You're doing a whole lot in the world of training, but also background. So why don't you give us a little background on who you are, what you do, what you're up to with LightSpeed, what you're up to with Closer School. What's happening, my man?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here, man. This is pretty freaking cool. My background is, kind of the same old story. I grew up in Oregon, blue collar family, learned the hard way, and fortunately made some decent moves, invented a software called LightSpeed VT that got me to kind of serve the experts of the world, all of the people that were out there trying to train people. So with LightSpeed VT, you can train people better. And that just kind of got me around those people. And then being around those people, obviously, got me a little shine. Next thing you know, I've got a following. But at the end of the day, I'm just a regular Joe. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep things simple, leaving things behind or dropping little nuggets so people don't have to have kind of the same ass kicking I got, and learning every day. That's it.
And Brad, tell us, you told us where you grew up, but did you have that instilled in you as a child, this sort of passion for sales? Or did that come when you got older, when you moved to Vegas? Or sort of walk us through who inspired you? Who were your mentors growing up?
Well, my parents were kind of blue collar family, really. My dad was kind of a children should be seen and not heard kind of dad. So what I attribute to him is kind of teaching me to survive, because ultimately, I was basically made sure I wouldn't die. Like, I got food and basics. But as far as coaching and mentoring and parenting, I didn't really get a lot of it. At 16 years old, I got kicked out of my house for not mowing the lawn like I said I would. So I learned the hard way to do what you say you're going to do. But I was excited to get kicked out, right? No parental supervision. I mean, I was pumped up. I had a car, and ultimately, man, I was out on my own at 16, and ultimately just, trial and error, learning the hard way. I think the number one factor to my success is ultimately my ability to sell clothes and persuade people. At 6 years old, maybe 7, I was given candy bars to go sell for the school, and I outsold everybody. I sold all the candy bars the entire school had. All the candy bars the other kids couldn't sell, they gave to me, and I went around and just moved them all. So I've always been somewhat good at sales, even, as a youngster. But when I really started liking sales, I believe it was because of the contrast. I got a real job. Everyone told me to get a real job. So I got a job with the Forest Service, and I thought I was going to be fighting forest fires, sounding all cool. I show up there. You got to get up at 4 a.m. It's a difficult job. So I showed up there at 4 a.m. and next thing you know, they give this big backpack filled with water, told me to put it on my back and go squirt the stumps that were still smoldering. So the real firefighters didn't have to come back and fight it again. So I'm like, what? Like, this is stupid. So I'm going uphill both ways. Okay. Ash in my face, breathing in ashes. And, it was just the worst job ever. So I got a little patch of poison oak on my arm, and I told him, look, I can't come in. I got a little poison oak right here. The dude took off his shirt and showed me his entire body's covered in poison oak and told me it's part of the job. So I was out. I didn't need any more convincing. Hard labor is not for me. I knew it the first day. And a lot of times, we're told that hard work is key. when in reality, I think you need to define what hard work means to you, because if it means back-breaking labor with blisters, you'll notice that most of the hardworking individuals are the ones with the least amount of money. The ones with all the money are the ones paying the people to get their hands blistered rather than blistering their own. So I didn't really like that. So I opened up the newspaper the next day because I quit immediately. I opened up the newspaper the next day and I saw an ad for selling cars. So I showed up there and they told me to go pick out a Trans Am. I got a free car to drive. I got to wear a suit and tie. You know, people were coming in to see us. There was no up and down hills. There was no ash. There was no poked in the eye with a stick. It was amazing. I'm thinking to myself, dude, on this hand, I'm getting poked in the eye with sticks. I'm getting poison oak. And on this hand, I'm getting free cars to drive. So it was a
no-brainer.
Yeah. So that's really when I got into my career selling. So over my career, I've sold everything that you could probably think of. But that's really what made me choose sales. Was it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
People always say you got to work hard, folks. Yeah. You don't have to work hard. Work smart.
Yeah, and I've heard you mention that in a few episodes, this whole idea of smart work and not having to work 80, 90 hours a week to succeed in life. And it's sort of spreading the wealth, if you will, too, you know, and giving accountability and delegating and leveraging people around you, you know, whether it's outsourcing or white labeling. Tell us about when you kind of figured that out and how you were able to build such successful teams without completely burning yourself out. Did you figure that out early on, just to build a really good team around you?
No, I mean, you know, working 80 or 90 hours a week just gives you an advantage. You can work 80, 90 hours a week. You don't need to, but I don't consider working 80 or 90 hours working hard. Again, I define hard as backbreaking, you know, blister causing, knuckle bruising work, digging ditches, things like that. I have worked 80 or 90 hours a week, but when I really kind of discovered that you don't really have to put that kind of time in is really when I developed this software. I ultimately quit my job to go start a training company. I was kind of the sales trainer. I was competing with guys like Grant Cardone, and there's a bunch of other ones that were out there. And I found very quickly that doing it manually took a lot of time and a lot of work. And ultimately, I discovered the 4 key ingredients that you need in order to effectively train people. And it's good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. And when I was out there, you know, charging people $10,000 to show up and train their team for a day, that they weren't really getting, you know, the impact I was looking to make. They used to when I worked 80 or 90 hours. So I discovered those 4 key ingredients by just tracking, you know, what did I used to do? What am I doing now? And the only difference was I had the good content both places. But when I worked at a company, working all those hours, I was doing repetition, practicing a lot, and accountability. And when I was out charging people to do it for myself, I had to leave. You know, I flew back home. I was only there for a day. So I didn't have the opportunity to do the repetition, practice, and accountability. So I invented LightSpeed to actually fix those things, and it started working. Then again, I'm back out there. I'm the trainer. I'm trying to convince everybody I'm the best, and ultimately ran into too many people that were also, you know, doing the job and doing quite well, you know, much better than I. They had bigger names, bigger budgets, et cetera. So that's when I decided, listen, I can compete with these people or I can collaborate. And in my mind, you know, the collaboration was the easiest route, you know, so I just had to close the people training you to close. I had to close the closers. So ultimately, I went and kind of showed them my technology and explained how they were missing the mark and doing it the hard way. So ultimately, I closed them. Next thing you know, I have all of them using my software to train their people. And then they were selling it into companies. Then the company started calling, wanting the software for their own purposes. And then the next thing you know, I'm doing, you know, 8 figures and everything else is history. However, you know, what can I say? This is the bottom line. You know, if you're out there and you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to, you know, grow your business, number one, you can't be afraid to spend money. When I started, you know, I was broke. I had just gotten a divorce. I had child support. I had to move out of my house. I had maybe a 2-bedroom apartment, you know, no furniture, things of that nature. And when I started, you know, getting the money to come in on a recurring level, as soon as I hit 10,000, I took 5 of it and hired somebody so I could have 2 of us to get back to the 10. And then when I hit 10,000 again, I'd take 5 of it and I'd hire somebody. Most people will go out and get furniture. Most people would get a nice car. I didn't. Okay. I took the money and I freaking used it to grow the company. So most people don't do that. They reach a certain level and then they hold on to the money in fear of going broke again. But I didn't fear being broke. So I just would recommend or advise strongly people out there that are building a business. If you haven't reached 7 figures yet and you're just getting going, don't get comfortable. You know, money is a tool. If you don't use it that way, you'll end up stunting your growth.
I love that. I live by that. I've been listening to the Dropping Bombs podcast for a little while, and just like our team has experienced tremendous growth over the last 90 days of just like, we've gone from me and one other person with our Facebook ads team to a team of 6, but spreading the wealth, like Neil mentioned, is like, it's incredible that, and like, I'm curious to know, like, because I think this feeds into, investing in things like Closer School Live and other, maybe other guru courses and investing into a mentor. I'm curious what your thought process is behind that. We've invested in, like, we spent thousands of dollars on mentors to essentially get us to the next level. I'm curious on what your thoughts are about as an entrepreneur, investing in courses and investing in info products to essentially help you accelerate your growth. What are your thoughts on that? I know you work with people like Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins of the world. What are your thoughts on personal growth and personal development?
Well, I think it's very important and vital. Most people are afraid to spend money on the courseware, pick up a book, any of that. I think is what's called a shortcut. We're taught to believe there are no shortcuts. There's plenty of shortcuts. And if you don't take them, you're a fool. Mm-hmm. I just bought a course, coincidentally, 30 minutes ago, on script writing, marketing, copywriting, things of that nature. Why? Well, because, the course, the full bundle, was $1,497 after you upsold to the 97, then it bumped you up of whatnot. $1,497. You know how much money you can make if you write a script well, just on digital? I mean, if I were anyone getting out of school, I would recommend highly that you go figure out how to market. Marketing, I don't know any broke marketers that are good. You can't hire them. You can't hire them. Every time I've tried to hire a good marketing person, they end up, quitting because they're so good. They can make money doing anything. They can make money driving traffic, selling vitamins, selling glasses, selling anything. So marketing and the ability to do so, I would say is the number one thing you should be focused on. Even if you're a CEO, even if you're an entrepreneur, learn how to market, learn how to write copy. I just invested in a course. So I would say it's extremely, extremely valuable. One of the regrets that I have is I didn't seek, training and information sooner. People always say, what would you do if you could go back? Well, I would have bought more courses and paid attention. I thought I knew everything, and everything I learned the hard way. You don't have to learn the hard way. That's the dumb way to learn.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think are like 3 tactics that a small business or medium-sized business or a CEO can take in order to find a course or find an info product that will help them get to where they want to go in their business? Like what do you look for in a course?
Well, I look at the people that are providing the course to see if they achieve the result I'm looking to achieve. Don't buy a course from someone who just got rich selling courses unless you're trying to learn how to get rich selling courses, right? So the marketing course that I just bought, or the writing course that I just bought, is from the Harmon brothers. I'm sure you've heard of them. Mm-hmm. They did Poo-Pourri and all these different famous ads. So obviously they have some experience doing it. I would just say, look for someone that's doing what you want to do and start there. Worst case scenario, you lose a little bit of money. Let's say you spend $1,000 on this course, it's no good. You spend $1,000 on this course, it's no good. You spend $1,000 on this course, it's no good. You spend $1,000 on this course and make $1 million. So you invested $4,000. Big deal. Most people won't take that risk. That's what's funny is most people are afraid of the risk, and the risk is where the opportunity is.
100% agree. Brad, tell me about your podcast and sort of the genesis of that. The focus of it. Is it really become a lead generator? Or is it more just a way for you to build your brand, more around brand lift? Or you're a good interviewer. I've watched many of your episodes. Walk us through, again, the backstory behind that and how you've built that over time.
Well, because I have LightSpeed VT, a lot of the gurus are coming in and out of my studios here in Las Vegas. So, I would listen to podcasts on occasion, and I just thought, man, I don't know why, since they're here, I don't sit them down and pick their brain and share that knowledge. My mission in life is to get the knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it, because I think people are failing because they don't have the right information, right? Businesses are closing because they don't know how to market. They're going out of business because they don't know how to close a deal. They don't know how to find funding. They don't know how to generate leads. Whatever the reason is, it's just a lack of information. They didn't know something. So I made it my mission, since I have this technology, to train people better, to just find the information that the experts have and the people that are succeeding have, and get it to the people that want to succeed. So the podcast is exactly what I'm doing. I saw a lot of experts coming in and out of here to film their courseware. And I said, hey, while you're here, let's sit down for an hour and just shoot the shit and talk about whatever challenges, expertise, et cetera. And then I just started dropping them. And the next thing you know, it's in the top 50 podcasts in business. And
amazing.
And then it just kept growing. But again, most people have trouble getting guests. I had guests coming out my ass, so it was never trouble getting guests to come in. And
where did the name come from? Sorry to interrupt. Where did the name come from? I'm always curious about that. What goes into a name?
Well, because a lot of times when I'm talking or I do a keynote, people come up and they're like, "Man, dude, you were dropping bombs, man. You were dropping bombs." So I was just sitting there thinking of a podcast name, and I said, "Man, we're going to be dropping bombs." So I Googled, and droppingbombs.com was available. And I'm like, dude, that's the name.
That's amazing, man. You're connected with a lot of big names, like with LightSpeed. Like, I'm really curious. Like, you often say, I've heard you say this multiple times on your podcast, multiple times on social, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. I'm really curious, like, what are some practical tips that entrepreneurs can take to scale their income through networking? And like, how should they network? Like, what does that look like to you, an effective tactic for networking?
Well, I mean, ultimately, dude, just introduce yourself. Like, so many people are afraid to walk up to somebody and introduce themselves, right? Who are you? What do you do? Be genuinely interested in the person you're introducing yourself to. The next thing you know, you find out all about them. People really like to talk about themselves. So the only thing stopping you is your fear of rejection, your fear of other people's opinion. And I think that stems from deep down, subconsciously, you really don't like yourself. Why? Well, you've been procrastinating your whole life. You've been letting yourself down all the time. You don't trust yourself. And we develop an ego to kind of buffer that, to where I teach people this 6-step method. I call it the Sacred Six, to go repair that relationship with yourself so you can start building relationships with others. Success is not rocket science. Too many people are trying to, figure out this magical thing, and it's just not magical. Like, it's easy. It's so easy. People just fail to understand how easy it is. Like your question, introduce yourself. Think about that. Like, dude, if you got off this podcast, went to a mall and introduced yourself to 50 people, I'll bet you anything you would run into people that there's opportunity. Just go to the mall, introduce yourself. How? Hey, how you doing? My name's Bradley. I didn't want to let an opportunity go by without at least introducing myself. What's your name? They're like, my name's Joe. Hey, Joe, what do you do, out of curiosity? I'm a construction guy. Oh, okay. So, and then next thing you know, you're having a conversation. Turns out you connect the dots and you have opportunities everywhere.
You're building a relationship. It's the same thing, Cody. You asked Brad to come on the podcast. He could have easily said no. He's a very busy guy, but we have learned to make the ask. People always say, well, how'd you get so-and-so on your podcast or that? Well, because we asked. It's not rocket science to make it out. Like, it's like some of the most obvious things in life. The blueprint for success is just literally eye contact, making an ask, being nice. Like, it's not that hard. Brad, speaking of which, you talk a lot on Twitter and Instagram about mindset, and every entrepreneur we have on talks about the mindset, how it's a game changer for you. You have to be resilient. Everyone's going to go through a roller coaster, traumas, hit the rock bottoms, peaks and valleys. What has mindset meant to you over your journey as an entrepreneur, and what advice would you dispense to young entrepreneurs about mindset and positivity and not dwelling on negativity?
Well, I would advise you to take it very seriously. I see a lot of people failing. I see a lot of people trying to succeed, but they cannot, and they can't figure out why. They get frustrated, they give up, they quit, they get depressed. Some of them even kill themselves. It's all mindset. If I were to give you 5 things, I call them the 5 M's, and you can master these 5 M's, you can go anywhere you want in life, anywhere. Okay. The first one is mindset, because if you don't get your mindset right, the rest of them are much more difficult to achieve. So you have to focus on your mindset. How do you do that? Pick up a damn book, open your mind a little bit, be open to the possibility that things are possible and success does leave clues. Quit being negative. Quit listening to the people that told you something and you just believed it. So now that controls your actions. You see, if you want something different, you have to do something different. The problem is most people will not change. They're afraid of change. So if you think about it, if you want to change what you're getting, change what you're doing. If you want to change what you're doing, change what you believe. Okay. If you want to change what you believe, seek new information. The reason you change your mind is because you got new information. Hey man, I used to think Brad Lee was kind of this arrogant jackoff, then I met him. Dude's totally cool. Okay. You got new information. So again, simplicity, just quit trying to think there's some big secret. Go out and seek new information on a regular basis. That'll change your beliefs. And then when your beliefs change, your actions and your behavior will change. And then when your actions change, what you're getting will change. So it's like, man, I can't break through the ceiling. You got to change what you're doing. Well, how do you change what you're doing? You got to change what you believe, right? So mindset is key. The 5 M's, let me just run through them real quick. Number 1, the 5 M's. The first M is mindset. What do you believe? That is the problem. If it's not the problem, check it off and keep going. Then the map. What does success look like to you? If I told you to look for me in a room full of people and you didn't know what I look like, it's much more difficult to find me, wouldn't you say? So figure out exactly what success looks like. Okay, that's your map. Okay, don't do that before you start going out there and doing things. First, get your mindset right. Then get your map. What does success look like? What are you trying to achieve? Then the third M is motion. What actions are you taking on a day-to-day basis? What habits do you have? Your habits will kill you or make you. And what's cool is, again, let's keep it simple. You can create a habit. Okay, it takes 27 days to create a habit. You can create any habit you want. You can break any habit you want. The habits, which are your motions, they're motions, the motion you're taking every day. What are your daily habits? If your map says that you want to have 6-pack, that's part of what you say is successful. Okay, then your motions need to track to that. So if you're eating a cheeseburger and you're not working out, are you moving away from your goal or towards your goal? Well, that's clear to see. Well, that's because you got clarity on what it is you think is successful. And now you're tracking your motions on a day-to-day basis. Your daily habits mapped to your goals every day you're moving towards them. Eventually you'll reach them. Now, the fourth M is measurement. Too many people forget to measure. That's how we hold ourselves accountable. Yeah. Okay. So you got to measure what you're doing. Okay. Every so often, measure what you're doing. And they, excuse me. And then the fifth one is money. What are you doing with it? Okay. So if you really want to be financially free and successful, you need to have money coming in without doing anything. And people say, well, that's impossible. No, it isn't impossible. You take $10 million and invest it at 10%. Okay. What's 10% of $10 million? Mm-hmm. It's $1 million. Okay, so if you got $10 million correctly invested at 10%, you're getting $1 million a month off your money. That's freedom. Okay, now you don't have to work. If you work and you have that coming in, now you just keep reinvesting. So mindset, your map, your motions, your measurements, and your money. If you master those, dude, nothing can stop you. Zero. Nothing will stop you. You know, if you're not getting what you're looking for, you can't break through. Go look at your mindset. Is it your mindset? Is it a belief that you have that's controlling you, causing you to make, limited decisions and limited belief? If it's not the mindset, if you're like, no, man, I'm totally open, I'm totally positive, I'm totally good there. Well, then now look at the map. Is it clear where you're going and what you want? If you're like, yeah, it's crystal clear. Good. Then look at your motions. What motions are you taking on a regular basis, and does it map to those? Because it's evident if they're not. You just have to analyze them. And then measurement. Are you measuring it, enough? Maybe you measure every year. Well, you didn't realize that, you were veering off. So you should measure every month, measure every week, measure every day if you have to. But you measure, you're inspecting what you expect. And then your money, when you start making some additional or some discretionary income, don't blow it. Don't go buy a Ferrari just because you can afford one. Take that money and buy something that will pay for the Ferrari. See what I'm saying? So your mindset, your map, your motions, your measurement, and your money. If you master those, dude, nothing will stop you.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like the mindset thing, like the mindset, the map, the motion. Like it just dropping bombs. Like you're dropping bombs on our podcast. So this is like people are saying, like, I find that, that's a great blueprint and like to actually move the needle in the business, seek knowledge. We chatted a lot about that. I want to dive a little deeper into sales because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs we chat with really struggle with sales. We know the 5 key core functions of the business: lead generation, nurture, conversion, delivery, retention, resell, upsell. I'm really curious to how you speak with Closure School and Closure School Live around sales and how you think through sales, a business owner, an entrepreneur can really potentially change their sales process, because we come across a lot of business owners that really have broken sales process. And we often say no amount of marketing can fix a broken sales process. So what can entrepreneurs do in order to fix their sales process? And what do you do when you do consulting or specifically through LightSpeed VT? How do, like, if they have an understanding of where they want to go and what they want to teach and what they want their people to do, how do they put it in? How do they change their sales process? Like, what does that look like in your opinion?
Well, when I go into companies and change their sales process, first thing I do is put myself in the shoes of the customer. I always say, if you want to ultimately sell Brad Lee what Brad Lee buys, you have to see things through Brad Lee's eyes. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So you have to put yourself in the customer's shoes and then figure out what's wrong and what's right. Sales is easy. Closing is a little bit more difficult, but ultimately the ability to sell, close, and persuade is massive. And I don't care if you're the CEO or a salesperson or a sales manager, the ability to sell, close, and persuade is incredibly powerful. It's literally the single reason I'm where I'm at today. So, there's processes to a sale. Like the first step to a sale is preparation. Most people miss that step entirely. They just go right to the meet and greet or the introduction, and they're not prepared and they blow the introduction. If you blow the introduction, then you can't really build a relationship. I think relationships is the new economy. It's the new currency. Like I teach people this. If you're trying to sell something, don't sell anything. They're like, what do you mean? Listen, introduce yourself. Literally try to build a relationship first. That means the number one thing I'm doing when I sell somebody is I want to build a relationship to figure out who you are, what you need, what are your challenges, what are your pain points, so I can see how to sell you my product or service. I want to get in your shoes. I want to ask a lot of questions, so then when I present, I can build value effectively. There's a lot of times where salespeople just start talking and they're telling you all the benefits that this product or service will give, but they don't have any clue who their customer is because they didn't even ask any questions, which is ludicrous. The customer will tell you exactly how to sell them. And then when you want to get past an objection, and in my opinion, anytime, someone says no, you either become a closer or go get one, because you need to go from no to a yes in order to get a sale. Now, I can teach anyone how to get past any objection. Now, most people think that means you can sell everybody. No, I didn't say that. I said I can get past any objection. So an objection is when someone says no, correct? Mm-hmm. So watch, I'll teach you guys real quick how to get past any objection. How do you get from no to a yes? And it's a simple technique. If you develop it and get good at it, man, I'm telling you, it's deadly. So give me an objection, any objection. Hey, you guys want to buy LightSpeed?
Yeah, we're thinking about it. It costs a little too much money.
Okay, first step, I have to identify, isolate, and validate that objection. It costs too much money. So what I do is I provide a hypothetical solution, because with hypothetical, it can be anything. And then if you don't say yes, then I didn't get past the objection. So let me ask you a question. If the thing was completely affordable, would you move forward?
We would consider it. We definitely, yeah, it would. Yeah. It would be a possibility.
Yeah, and by the way, see, that's not a yes. That's a we'd consider it. That's a possibility. So guess what? That's not the only objection, or it's not the real one. And you can't close on a real objection. So now I would repeat the step, and I would just be trying to identify and isolate the objection so I get to the real one. So I'd say, well, what else would you be thinking about?
Well, we have some other people we're considering investing in as well. So it just depends on the cost. It depends on the person. It depends on you. We like you. So that's a huge asset. But it's just due diligence. More due diligence is needed.
Absolutely. It's a big decision.
Cody, I feel like we're really thinking of buying his company here.
So let me ask you, I mean, that's a legitimate concern, and it's a big decision. I would expect you to do that. However, if you did all your due diligence and you found that I was the best person to do business with, and the system was affordable, would you move forward?
Yep, 100%. Because for me, it's relationships too. It's the person. It's the comfort level with the person. Are they real? Are they authentic? Do they have testimonials? Like that's the everything to me. I don't know if Cody agrees. But.
You just said yes. So there's no longer that.
Ah, damn.
So I'm trying to get you from a no to a yes. Now that doesn't get you the check. That's just the first step in this process. You identify, isolate, and validate the objection. Then you get them to move from a no to a yes by providing a hypothetical solution. And then once they say yes, which is what you want, that tells you what you need to solve for, right? So now I do have to, I mean, perhaps you do have to do due diligence. Why? Because nothing I can say right now can get me past that. However, I got you from a no to a yes and identified what I need to solve. And once you know what you need to solve, it gives you a hell of a lot better a chance to solve it on the spot, hopefully, or follow up and continue to give them the information they need to make the right decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like absolutely makes sense. And, you know, it's something, it's interesting, like with our business developer, we often tell business developers, you know, make sure that all all decision makers are on the call. And there's so many different things that, you know, from a sales standpoint to get people from get them from a no to a yes. But that's good. I like the isolate the objection. I've heard you say that before, but there's a lot more clarity around that. You know, Brad, you know, wrapping up here, I don't know, Neil, you have any more questions before we wrap up here? I feel like we covered.
I got one more quick question. Just, do you believe you have to believe in the product you're selling, Brad? Fundamentally, you have to have a passion for what you're selling. It's not just like, I totally 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, you have to understand and embed yourself in the customer experience and listen to what they're saying. But do you believe you have to 100% have a passion for what you're selling in order to truly be successful?
No, you can sell a product you don't believe in, you know, as long as you're doing the process and you're, you know, capable at executing each and every step, you can sell anything to anybody. I wouldn't advise it. Advise it because, listen, with Closer School, my goal is not to make you a better closer. My goal is to make you a better human. Okay, make you a better human being. You know, build the relationship. You'll sell the product and way more if you just build the relationship. If you learn how to follow up correctly, if you learn how to provide value, if you learn how to have integrity, how to have ethics, right? So with that being said, I wouldn't advise you to sell anything that you don't believe in. Why? Well, because there's not a lot of ethics and integrity in that. So if you're selling something that you don't believe in, you should stop. Now, you ask, can you sell it without believing in it? Absolutely, dude. I can sell anything to anybody. Okay, I could sell anything. You know, let's say these are garbage. I can't stand them. They don't work. I'll still sell them to you. Why? Because I know the process. Just like, you know, mixed martial arts, you get in the ring with a trained fighter, they might not even feel good that day. They'll still kick your ass. But at the end of the day, if I don't believe in these, I personally won't sell them. Why? Because I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm trying to build a relationship. And if you're trying to build a relationship without ethics and integrity, it's short-lived. Yeah. So if you're out there selling a product or service that you don't believe in, quit the job. Quit.
Yeah, or you
start a new
You'll
one.
be a one-hit wonder, and not a lifetime value of the customer client. 100% agree. Yeah.
So I gave you kind of a curveball there because, yeah, I do believe people can sell shit without believing in it, but they shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. The ethics.
It's okay. I thought that curveball was going to come, but I appreciate the honesty in the answer. Cody,
Brad,
do you want to?
Yeah. If somebody were looking for more information about you, where is the best place we can find you? LightSpeed, where's the best place we can find Closer School? Yeah, where's the best place somebody can find you to learn more?
Well, Google, just type in Brad Lee, L-E-A. I'll come up every
Real Bradley.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if you want to chit chat or hear more of me, go to Instagram, the real Brad Lee, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you want to train people better or create courses like Grant and Tony and all those guys, go to LightSpeed VT. That's in virtual training.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, man, I'm pretty much all over.
You're everywhere.
YouTube, Instagram. I'm mainly like DMing. When people DM me, I'm on Instagram. I'm the one answering you. So, if you're interested, I would just follow me on Instagram and shoot me a DM and we'll chat there.
Have you implemented that YouTube strategy yet that you were talking about? The running ads on YouTube? Have you implemented that? No.
No, matter of fact, I'm just engaging in that right now. I started running a few ads for Closer School on Facebook and Instagram, and it's paying off 3 to 1. For every $1 I spend, I get 3 back.
100%. We bought it, so you got us in.
I'll tell you, a lot of when you go in there, the Closer School, there's about 4.5 hour master class. Mm-hmm. That's the foundational level to where all of the other ones that say coming soon, I've been saying that for like 6 months, but they are coming soon. And anyone that bought it, gets all of that and everything for life. So you'll never have to pay again. Soon as that stuff releases, I'm raising the price and it's annual. So even though you guys have had to wait a smidge for that content to drop, I'll make it worth your while. Love it. And get it's still available, right? People can still hop into Closer School. Yeah, Closerschool.com. Closer School Live is a call with me and people that I bring on every Tuesday. That's called Closer School Live. It's basically $37 a month. You get 4 1-hour coaching sessions, and we shoot the shit, role play. I talk specifically about the industry you're in. I bring on industry experts for real estate, software, etc. Leadership, motivation, things of that nature. But Closer School and Closer School Live is what I'd recommend. Get both. Yeah, Janish, if you're listening, our business developer, make sure that you hop on a few of those calls because they're awesome. So really appreciate your time, Brad, man. Thank you so much for hopping on the StudioPTBO podcast with us today and just dropping bombs. Super excited about today. Awesome. And thank you so much for tuning into the StudioPTBO podcast. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur that is looking to really grow your business in the online space, we have a free StudioPTBO marketing hacks group. Just literally type in StudioPTBO marketing hacks on Facebook. Mean the world to us if you have the opportunity. Make sure you go check out Closer School Live. Also, make sure you check out LightSpeed. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur listening to this, you're definitely going to want to get in on that training. Thanks again, Brad. Neil, great seeing you again. We'll see everyone.
Brad.
Thank you for tuning in to the StudioPTBO podcast. We will see you soon.